Sofia Boarino. Welcome to the Neuroarchitect.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Please tell us more about your professional journey and the motivations behind your focus on sound architecture, lighting design, and neuroarchitecture.
Yes, surely. So I'm an architect, a sound artist, and a researcher with expertise in sound architecture and neuroarchitecture. I graduated from the Accademia di Architettura of Mendrisio in Switzerland. It's one of the most renowned university of architecture in the world, and I had the absolute pleasure to attend it. I also spent a period of my studies in Peru at PUC University in Lima, where I trained in acoustics with Professor Jimenez.
What year was that?
It was 2018, if I'm not mistaken, or between 17 and 19. I think 18. Yeah, it was 2018. I graduated with a project in sound architecture and a thesis on neuroarchitecture based on a project that now forms the basis of my doctoral research. And then after university, I delved directly into the architectural practice, but also the artistic practice. And I've collaborated internationally with studios in Italy, France, Switzerland, definitely, and also the US. I've been a fellow of Mad Workshop Foundation that is based in Santa Monica in California, and a member of 10 Collective, which is an architectural experimental practice based in Zurich, which was nominated in 2022 for the Mies van der Rohe Award. I'm also an active lecturer. I've held workshops and given conferences across universities, such as Ca' Foscari in Venice and ETH in Zurich. And now there is an upcoming one in Politecnico di Milano. And now I'm starting a PhD research at UCL University College of London. It is going to develop between two departments, the one of architecture and the one of neuroscience. And I'm going to investigate how sound and light can enhance the neuroaesthetic perception and promote overall well-being and health. And the motivation behind all of this and this focus and this very interdisciplinary practice is basically because it's really part of who I am. My practice is really based on the continuous mediation between science and art, physics, but also metaphysics, practical research and theory. And it revolves around the fascination for the invisible, particularly the physical forces that exist beyond our visual perception, but exert a powerful influence on the human body, on the mind, and the world as we know it. So sound, light, and health are the focus of my work. And I would say that health and neuroscience mainly are the focus because I've had a very turbulent medical history, and that began even before I was born, and unfortunately continues mildly to this day. And also some members of my family somehow. So I've always approached medicine, but not only traditional medicine, also alternative medicine and other holistic approaches that have made very, very clear to me how profoundly the environment can contribute to health, or conversely deprive it, as can sound, light, and other factors. Moreover, I met three amazing academic figures that really inspired the way I work and conduct my practice. One of them is Arne Holtrop, with his material gesture, and he has a very research-driven approach and practice, which is something I adopted, but of course I investigate on different things. Then there is Bijoy Jain from Studio Mumbai, which was my professor back in the days, and he has a very personal approach to architecture, almost psychological. and encourages you to pour your individual talents, knowledge, and passions into the practice. And I remember that back in the days, he asked the whole studio to bring two objects that would describe everyone, like that describe them. And I brought Baoding bowls, which are these Chinese health bowls that you have to rotate in your hand, and they activate the acupuncture points on the palm of your hand. And then I brought very ancient instrument that I built myself a few months ago, before that studio. It's called the bull roarer, and the name is very revealing. So it makes a very roaring, low frequency sound, and it was used to communicate long distance, but it was also used in sacred ceremonies to call the gods, because it was believed to cut through air and allow the gods to enter this dimension. And then in more recent years, I've also been very inspired by my friend and colleague, Ricardo Blumer. He's a wonderful architect, designer, and also professor. And his experimental and performative approach has been really great influence for me. So yes, that is what has led me to do what I'm doing now.
So it's something that grew with you.
Yes.
It was like a discovery journey, more than like you saw maybe an expert who inspired you. It was more like, I want to understand how my space or how my environment will heal me, will help me. It was more of
Yes.
you trying to search for this more than seeing people talking about it. Maybe it was on a
Yes.
later stage. Mm.
No, absolutely. It came really from me because I was also feeling like, what can I give to this profession that is unique or special, or maybe without even be presumption, like without having the arrogance of like being unique, but like, what can I bring that nobody else can? And I was thinking, okay, like I love music. I can sing. I love sound. I test spaces when I walk around them. And then I also have known about medicine and holistic approaches and the brain and how the mind works and all of that. So I was like, okay, let's bring this in. That's part of who I am, and that's how the process went.
This is some sort of validity from the self before checking the validity scientifically. And
Yes.
you know, if everyone sits a little bit with their own selves and feel what they're feeling, like allow themselves to feel what they're feeling and not mask it with other things, maybe they will find also other, thoughts that researchers or experts can try to validate scientifically. And we can solve many issues.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in 2021, you won the Swiss Engineering Ticino Prize.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us more about your work that one.
Yes. So that was a great honor. I won it with a project that is called Hit the Beat. And it's a architectural regeneration project for the railway station area of Chiasso, which is a Swiss border city, which is marked by its raw industrial landscape. I remember that when I went on site to see the site, I almost wanted to cut my ears off because of how unpleasant and intense the noises were, and basically noises from transport infrastructure or construction sites. But I also noticed that Chiasso had a very fragmented urban fabric and nothing was happening. It was really, really a sad environment, I would say. But sound was a constant present. It was really like a connective tissue that oriented, linked, and animated the space. And so I decided to work with sound and not work acoustically in a sense of like insulating from sound, but open up to it and reframe the sonic harshness of Chiasso as a creative opportunity, really transforming the city's mechanical rhythm into a driving force for urban revitalizations. I did this through a program of music and leisure. The project includes a series of interventions, a sound art master school, a concert hall for experimental music and art, and an adaptive reuse of existing buildings into event hall and welcome center. And these programs are connected by a continuous urban park that reclaims the station's ground floor as a vibrant civic space. And basically, the vision was to transform Chiasso into an open-air sound library and also kind of a destination for cultural production, social exchange, and acoustic exploration. So the Sound Art Master School, for example, was a tower. It's conceived as a machine, and the central core is exploded, and the circulation is shifted to the external perimeter so that this tower becomes a vertical infrastructure that opens multiple access points to the city's air and its sounds. And on the ground floor, there is a music piazza and a sound park. And the other main building, which is the concert hall for experimental music and arts, was also special. It is made of two skins. There is an outer skin that is of satin glass blocks that are acting as a translucent curtain behind which sound and light interplay. And then there is an inner shell that is really envisioned as a playable architectural instrument. It's a resonant surface that can be tuned and adapted to different performances. And that's because the idea was really for the concert hall to allow islands of sounds to form around the space and enable musicians and visitors to move freely through the space. And there are a series of ramps that really encourage the movement in sync with the flow. And then there was also a pavilion, this called Train Forest. That was like required a lot of mechanical engineering and studies and formulas, but basically it is designed to transform the movement of the trains into music, crystalline sounds pervading the atmosphere.
So here maybe you had a collaboration with an expert to help you with this calculation?
I was contacting like a mechanical engineer, but it was also really strange and innovative because all mechanical engineers, they work against what I was asking them to do because they don't want resonance because it can create disruption. But I wanted to create sound resonance, and I had to let's say, invert many of their formulas, but also modify them slightly so that whatever I would build would not create any harm. But it was definitely a very, very challenging quest also for...
How does this resonance help?
Because basically, well, I can take it from far, but basically everything vibrates, like every solid or non-solid objects in our universe vibrates, and also has a resonant frequency. And so when you discover what is the resonant frequency of a certain object, when you play a frequency, a sound, a note that has the same characteristic of these resonant frequencies, it makes this object vibrate and move. And so basically I tuned my structure to the train passing frequency so that it would activate it. And then I had a series of like objects that would make noises when the activation would happen.
What do we feel with these noises?
It's a bit like crystalline sounds and also like vibrating hair. It's a bit like being immersed into a little concert that happens and you don't really know why.
It's nice. You know, I was trying to understand the noise in my city, like 2 or 3 days like before the interview, you know? And
Nice.
and I saw a quote by a scientist, Robert Koch. back in 1910, who said like one day you will fight noise the same way we are fighting the plague and cholera.
Yeah. Yeah. In
So,
big cities, it's a big problem.
mhm.
Yeah.
Have you worked on the scale of a city or only on like
Well,
public spaces maybe, or architecture or interior?
so when I was in Peru, in Lima, we really faced this issue also with the professors and university because the urban noise is so loud, like over 60 or 80 decibels, that it really can create harm. And so there are a series of techniques you should implement into urban planning, but also architecture to try to smoothen these sounds. The thing though is that, of course, when you have like a emergency problem like the one in big cities, you have to have like a combined approach between insulation and I guess a more open approach. But nowadays, when you talk about acoustics in engineering and architecture, it's really just about insulation, and very few specialists talk about sound architecture or oral architecture. And I think that opening have like a different mindset and opening up to sound also on a wider scale, like I did for Chiasso, is really interesting because first of all, it makes you aware of the problem. And instead of like closing yourself into like a soundproof house, you start to communicate with the environment. You start to realize what's wrong, what could be changed. And, it's a much more proactive and sustainable approach, already because of awareness. And especially when it's about nature, it's extremely powerful because basically when you like hearing is a sense of interiority because it enters the body, and basically when you hear something you also start to feel close to it or almost love it.
It's like an instrument that plays in you.
Yeah,
You feel that
exactly.
it touches, it's like, let's say, a piano, and it touches many points in you and
Yeah,
creates some sort of harmony or disharmony.
exactly. And so I think it's really important to be in tune with the world, and if the world offer only harsh noises, it's time to do something about it. But I don't think the solution is to just create insulation over.
Especially that some people have, it's about the receptors. It's not being sensitive psychologically. It's about having larger receptors in your body or in the areas that absorb everything, actually. And one of these factors is the noise. If you absorb it and you are sensitive in the sense of having larger receptors in your body, you will feel very bad. And it's not about a mood. It's about really your body is screaming, like
Yeah,
shouting
yeah,
for
yeah.
help.
Yeah, it's very physical and it's very psychological. There is this branch of studies that is called psychoacoustics that really studies the effects of sound on the brain and how it can impact your mood. But also like the very physical impact is real. Infrasounds, for example, can create like nausea, distress. They are also used as military weapons sometimes to disperse crowds. So it's very real and very impactful. And I'm kind of astonished about the fact that not many architects are aware of sound and build for it.
And the amount of details you should look at. For example, in the city, you have the cars, you have the commercial spaces, you have the public spaces, you have the construction tools, the construction sites within the city. You have fireworks, you have, places like in war zones, you have the bombs, you have the guns, which is sometimes a culture to have guns and weapons. You have maybe places where, or maybe people who speak louder than others, some cultures where it's not nice even to speak on a
Yeah.
low tone, because it's they cannot hear you. They're used to high pitches, for example. And you have all these, and maybe you have also people who play music on the street, different kinds of music, all blended together. And then you need your quiet place. Also, within the house, you need to have not only insulation, you need to have some shapes in the walls and the ceilings based on what you have outside. It's not like standard in every area. You have also the materials that you put, the materials of your furniture, the items that you put that also, reflect the sound, because
Exactly.
not
Yes.
only they absorb, sometimes they absorb and sometimes they reflect. And it's a very big, discipline alone to
Yeah.
look at.
Yes, it is. It is. And also the impacts that it has also on non-human beings.
Mm.
Also birds and frogs that are lost because there is too much noise happening somewhere close by, and it's really, yeah, it's
I have
really,
seen that. I have seen pets escaping, having this a flight response more than the fight. It was a flight response. Even dogs and cats escaping from the sound of motorcycle or construction or fireworks.
yeah.
They get traumatized, and maybe we should look at also how plants react for this kind of um, disharmony and noises, because we know that I've known that since a young age, that classical music, for example, helps plants grow healthier. And my mom was doing this, and we've
Ah.
seen the plants changing. Really, I've seen this at a very young age. I grew up with this mentality, and I noticed the difference, because I also had plants when I grew up, and they respond to noise. They even respond to when you fight within the house. You can see how they change.
Wow, this I've never noticed. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of my project is actually regarding plants and bioacoustics, and there are certain sounds that are absolutely detrimental for certain plants and for growth, and others that protects them from bacteria that
Mm.
are the equivalent of some pesticides, and help growth, enhance growth, and so it's really fascinating work to explore.
Even the
Yes.
sound, it's one of the main senses. Now people focus mainly on the sight, on the sense of sight. But uh, before, we used to communicate, like even the nonverbal communication was
Yeah.
based on the sound in nature, responsiveness between the sound that you make and the sound of animals and the sound of the trees, with the wind. All of these impact us. Like we're not different from the 10,000 years ago human being, even if we say that we've changed a little bit physically, but our way to respond in terms of senses didn't change really.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yes. And there is there are fascinating ancient stories. Well, not really stories, realities about that. Also, the song lines from the Aboriginal people in Australia that sing the landscape, and the landscape kind of responds to them. It's fascinating, really, the soundscape movement in the 60s and 70s, and how they kind of started to sensibilize human beings to the environment by like these new practices of walking and listening and taking in the soundscape. um, the ancient theaters, you drop a coin in the middle and you can hear it
Mm,
perfectly. I think we have to rediscover a lot of that in architecture.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem is that people don't walk anymore enough. It's not because of them, it's more because of how the facades are made, or how the public spaces are made nowadays, and the importance is given on a collective scale,
Mm.
like the way they promote for public spaces, for walking. Uh, the way it's designed doesn't allow you sometimes to have this pleasure of walking and listening. You want to walk to escape, for example, traffic, to escape pollution, to escape the noise. So you don't have this pleasure anymore. It's sometimes like as if it's you need to pay more, or you need to have the luxury to do what's actually normal for you to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially in certain countries, is also a cultural thing. You know, the drive-ins in the US, or while, for example, in Italy, you don't have them. Basically, we just walk or cycle. In some countries, you cycle, and it's just different. Yeah, culturally, um, different things are promoted in different countries. Yeah.
So what are your current activities and projects and even research?
Yeah. So now I'm currently exhibiting at the Venice Architecture Biennale, which is going on until the 23rd of November. And so if you haven't been yet, or your listeners haven't, I really suggest visiting, because Carlo Ratti did something amazing doing this open call and bringing brilliant minds from all over the world.
In this show so far, we have invited the audience more than 3 times to visit Italy.
Ah, great. So they will all go. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, so this is happening. Then I just came back from Germany. Currently, there is an exhibition that I've been curating together with a team of 7 amazing professionals at the Bauhaus in Dessau. It's going to last until the 1st of March 2026. And there, my visual artwork, Focal Photosynthesis Flower, has been displayed. The exhibition is called After Modern Brightness, Ecologies of Light. And it is the culmination of 3 months program researching on light, especially artificial light and its history. The exhibition centers around Marianne Brandt's ME94 lamp, and how every piece that composes it reveals the complex intersection between scientific innovation, industrial capitalism, craftsmanship, and mass production that is tied to this global electrification. And so the exhibition exposes this often invisible electrical grid and the sites that where light is produced and consumes, and reflects on modern brightness that continues to shape us. We brought daytime into nighttime to enhanced work efficiency. We brought urban illumination, etc., etc. But we also read Marianne Brandt's letter, and she made this question already quite a while ago, saying like, how far are you pushing it, human? And so we challenge whether we can design light beyond extraction and beyond the biological and ecological harm of constant illumination, which is it was a really interesting chapter. And then right now I should be on holiday, but I'm actually working on 2 projects. One is visual artworks. I've been extensively working on a series of visual artworks titled Vocal Photosynthesis, and the first work is shown in Bauhaus. And basically, I create large-scale paintings without using colors or a brush, but there is color, and I create it through light manipulation. And the brush is sound, and is specifically my voice, my singing voice. So the paintings are made by music, and I'm really excited to exhibit them soon.
Amazing.
Thank you. And at the same time, I'm also finalizing the prototype of a lamp. It's a very atmospheric light, and it should be produced soon, fingers crossed. And then after summer, in October, I'm starting a PhD project, my own research at UCL, University College London. And as I was mentioning, I'm investigating sound and light and the impact on your aesthetic perception. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
So the PhD is in which discipline?
It's neuroarchitecture.
So you take a PhD in
It really,
neuroarchitecture.
yes.
How many people have
Yeah,
taken a PhD in neuroarchitecture so far? Do you know? Because I think UCL is the first to do the PhD in neuroarchitecture program.
yes. So I'm sure there are many people. I contacted UCL because I saw that they have this new partnership with RISE, and they do this neuroarchitecture partnership with UCL. There is not really yet an official department of neuroscience, but I'm definitely
Neuroscience or neuroarchitecture, you mean?
sorry, neuroarchitecture. There is not officially a department of neuroarchitecture, as far as I'm concerned.
There,
Or
because because at the University of Venice there is already the masters in neuroarchitecture, and the
yeah.
others are more like maybe a course certificate of
Mhm.
of 2-3 months maybe work.
Mm.
That's why I'm asking about specifically the PhD in UCL.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, is really great because as they're very open to this neuroarchitectural approach, and they have the whole system built around that to sustain this type of research. I'm actually in between departments of architecture and neuroscience, and I have two supervisors, and one is an architect and one is a neuroscientist. Is Hugo
Exactly,
Spears,
the best combination.
yeah, Hugo Spears and Fiona Zisch. I think there is something similar happening at in the University of Valencia.
Mm.
I have a friend that is doing also something similar, Julia del Rio, and yeah,
And in
so
the new school also.
yeah,
And it's becoming also a requirement to get, a grant or funding for research in neuroarchitecture. We have at least one architect and one neuroscientist, and the rest of the team, okay, you can mix, but at least one of each.
yeah. I think it's fundamental, and even if it was not compulsory, I think it should be because you definitely need both insights. And my PhD is going to be also very practical because it's based on a project, and so I'm going to run clinical experiments for sure, while also like experimenting with art and architecture. So you definitely need to have both specialists. And also regarding, I don't know, you were mentioning funding, or
Yes.
yeah. I mean, the UK makes it very hard to do it without fundings because it's outside of the European Union now.
Mhm.
So the expenses are sadly really high. And at the same time, I'm in contact with a few industry partners, industries that are willing to make a partnerships, and I really value their interest and willing to engage, because I think it's really important for the project itself, not really about the funding, because they gain so much from it and from these new discoveries and the position in the academic world and innovation, but also the researcher get the chance to use amazing products and test it and go real world experiments, and make all sorts of partnerships with those industries. So I think it's really crucial to have that.
We need to always spread this awareness, like to tell the industries how much they will benefit from doing, from funding research and taking the results for them initially. It was a very long journey for people who started this field. I've known many people from different continents and myself. How hard it was to try to convince people that really it helps, it will change. You will see the change. You will feel the change, let's say, without seeing it with your own eyes, maybe. You will feel it in your whole engagement of body and how we're wired, how we inherited the way to be wired to relate to the senses and to the benefits of the harmony with the senses and with the space around us.
Yes, absolutely. I also think it's a bit sad that nowadays, I mean, I worked in many architectural practices, and there's almost never time, space, and money for
Mm.
this neuro scientific side of architecture, while it's really about little things sometimes. I mean, sometimes you really need a big team and different type of approach, but it can be very feasible to bring this type to approach in homes and in public space. So I completely agree.
Mm. And also, like you quantify the results, so you are showing people that you can quantify results. It's not only based. Okay, interviews. It's like the qualitative part is very important, but when you also quantify, it's like sometimes you show that what the unconscious is doing or what your body that you're not in connection with is doing, and it shows, it gives more validity. It also costs you time and effort, and you need the money. So you need collaboration with laboratories, which is what we did, most of us, before having this opportunity maybe to get the funding from certain institutions. We asked like to
Yeah.
bring this equipment. You need also to be trained by a neuroscientist who knows how to manipulate these tools. You need training maybe from the experts who bring these tools to you. So it's a very long process, but we need to have at least optional course, since we are now introducing this field more into architecture. We need to have at least optional courses for people who want to learn the discipline of neuroarchitecture or neuro design, let's say neurourbanism, to give them the opportunity to start this field in a more comfortable way, because so many people who want to learn it now are lost. They try to find a lab, they try to find somewhere in another university. I've been collaborating with someone in the US, to get this opportunity. And it's like, okay, it's far. Why not to have someone near me?
Definitely. But
So
then it's also exciting because I don't know if you heard differently from someone else, but these transdisciplinary projects are so exciting for everyone. I think there is a bit this stigma, mainly from other scientists, that others might not be willing to collaborate into something hybrid, but they're always so curious and
mhm.
it's always so exciting. So I don't know. I think it's just about having like a middle person that just connects these worlds.
Now the researchers have the same mentality in different disciplines. Like we're all have this kind of curiosity, and we want the funding. We want to discover. Like you said, you must have had now your holidays and you're working instead. And it's something that happens to most of us, because like me as well, like anytime I feel that I have but then my mind is working, like I have this brilliant idea. I need to do some research on it. I need to write about it. And it's like it becomes a built-in, it's a built-in character. But
Yes,
what we
it
lack
is.
is actually people to be convinced, like decision makers, like people who have the investment power.
I agree. Yeah. Fundamental.
So, any final thoughts or message you would like to deliver?
Well, I think I can reiterate what we have been just saying right now, because I somehow really hope that this neuro-architecture movement, which is still a bit niche, can grow and influence not only the architectural discipline, but also many others.
And can grow following ethics and, research more than this profit marketing thing, which is also,
Yes.
okay, we cannot escape this part, but let's try to make it correctly from the beginning, since we are starting it correctly. I really hope it doesn't go in different ways.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Especially because, the messages are pure, and I think people that are invested into this, they really want the well-being of all, at least from the researchers I know and the architects I know. And architecture and art can elevate the human experience and promote health on a scientific level and make people feel better. And as we were saying, like in today's oculocentric design era marked by sensory imbalance, extreme functionalism, a society that is constantly running, chronically stressed, chronically exhausted, we definitely need spaces that can restore balance and offer a moment of breath and foster connection with ourselves and with others. So we need this discipline to enter our homes and our public spaces, which is what I'm going to do with the PhD research. And I just prompt colleagues, architects, and also people that work in other disciplines to just design spaces that truly care for our real psychological and physiological needs in respect of the environment. Yeah, that's the vision I wish for.
I hope, and of course the audience hopes to see your work soon, the pieces of art and your PhD results. Sofia, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you for this interesting conversation.
Thank you. Wonderful to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for watching us.